get showcased.
We live.
Welcome everybody to another live edition of the Showcase Pod. I am Don Vega and joined, I believe, in studio, the boss, Chris Blackheart. Chris Blackheart, you there?
Yeah, in studio, outside of the studio, not literally outside in the parking lot. We have Don Vega on location. Sounds like coming from the dog pound.
You know, the dog pound started out barking as soon as we got started here, so I apologize for that. But we're coming back from a big wrestling weekend. Wrestlemania weekend just went on in Vegas. Chris Blackheart, that you have a chance to catch up on all your good wrestling this past weekend.
I caught up with everything. I was very surprised, to say the least.
Okay.
I did watch both nights. And I guess we'll break into it. We'll break in some wrestling news. We'll break in some Dark Side of the Ring.
Did you watch it in unison with the lady, with the missus, or what?
No. I think she came out to watch Cena's match. I can't remember.
Oh, she's picking and choosing.
Oh yeah. She was picking. Oh yeah. And I do appreciate all the shout outs on social media and all the people who did call or text Kathy. She thoroughly enjoyed the messages of recognizing the national holiday in the Blackheart household known as Wrestlemania, and the fact that it's one of the only holidays, actually it is the only holiday nationally and worldwide that is a 2-day event.
So this is the only holiday that Blackheart truly enjoys in the history of holidays.
Well, it's not the only holiday, but the fact that it's 2 days and it's a celebration, of what we do. And I think the fact that, look at it. They literally, the wrestling industry took over Easter, took over Las Vegas, took over a town, almost took over a whole state. That's pretty amazing.
Took over Las Vegas for sure. A lot of promotions took over Las Vegas because, as you know, it's a whole week of different activities from WrestleCon to other events with other companies. One of those events feature the retirement match. Hopefully, it's not one of the many retirements for an old friend by the name of Sabu. He had his big matchup against Joey Janela, and I seen clips of it. I think I think he's done enough for the wrestling business at this point.
Yeah, I know. I saw clips. I think the famous one was two of them. One when he took the bump through the middle rope.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even rope. What was it? It was barbed
wire. Barbed wire match. It was barbed wire.
Yeah, and then also what was that? A barbed wire box?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. That was kind of clunky.
Yeah. So I haven't watched the whole match, but in true fashion, he went out there and he took some risks. Yeah. And when's enough?
Well, and I'm hoping that's it. It looks like he went out on his own terms, and maybe he just, I don't know. It's hard, as a wrestler. We never want to stop the spotlight. Never want to stop being in that ring. But, if I'm not mistaken, he's 60 years old. We know the injuries over the years. I think he just wanted one more for himself. And
hopefully that's what it is, and hopefully this one did it for him. And like I said, he at this point has done enough as far as taking chances and risk and everything that he's brought out to the table, especially for the hardcore wrestling fans throughout the decades that he's been doing it. Hopefully he's remembered for all the entertainment, even though it jeopardizes his health and his body at this point.
What I'm hoping, I mean, over the years, the autographs circuit's been going pretty well. The fan fest, so hopefully, I mean, you see a lot of guys transitioning into that. That a lot of people are still making a living
into that, and he feels like he's still a part of the wrestling community, which he always will be. Yeah. But in some sense, it's a lot different than going out there and having the adrenaline of going out in front of a crowd and being in that ring and being in control, and it's just a whole different beast. So it's hard to walk away from that type of high, completely at times.
Yeah, I mean, I almost see it as a celebration of your legacy, because everything you've done in the past is the reason why people are wanting to go to see you now. But we know a lot of people that when they get out of the ring, they cannot be in the environment. So hopefully, the fact that guys can still make a living, with the fan fest going on for various places, hopefully that can be a motivation to do that transition and then literally stay out of the ring. Because you can't always go, even though you want to.
Yeah, well, to say the least, moving on and going, we'll get into WrestleMania Night 1. We got a lot to cover here this week. We had some picks for that WrestleMania Night 1. Do you have those notes there in the studio, Danny?
Yep.
So we moved right along. It started right hot from the get-go, and we saw the world title match took place between Gunther defending the title against Jey Uso. And to my knowledge, what I remember, I said that I was picking Gunther, but I had the thoughts that they were gonna give the people what they wanted, which is what they did. And Jey Uso became the world champion, defeating Gunther at WrestleMania Night 1. Chris Blackheart, who do you had?
Look at it. Did we all have Gunther?
We all had Gunther.
All right, so.
You all had Gunther in that one. Did you get to see any of that match, Chris Blackheart?
I did. I watched the whole match. I mean, I do like his entrance. I do like his fan connection. I was very surprised. I didn't like the finish. I was very surprised Gunther tapped out so quick.
Yeah.
Well, look at this way. He has an opportunity now. Let's see what he does to make it.
Definitely, I agree with the finish of the match. It was kind of one of those situations where I felt like it should have gone a different way. But we'll see where they go with the story as it goes along. As we'll get into a little bit later, Gunther came back with the vengeance. So we'll see where they go with that. But yeah, Jey Uso is the new world heavyweight champion, defeating Gunther. Moving on to the second match of the night. Who do we have there, Daniel?
The New Day defeating the War Raiders.
Well, the New Day took on the War Raiders, and again, in another shocking one. I mean, I think we briefly talked about it, and I think we kind of had the sense that it could have happened, but I guess it did. The New Day did beat the War Raiders to become the new World Tag Team Champions. Your thoughts on that matchup? Did you get to see that one as well?
No, I watched it, and obviously that has New England ties, so that's one of the main reasons why I was watching it. I don't know, it was a tough one. The thing that took me out of that match, I think, was Michael Cole, when he was trying to say that the New Day could be the greatest tag team, ever. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I just lost interest after that, because I hate it when they keep telling everything they're doing now is the greatest, and everything's the greatest because it's WrestleMania. I think that was one of the biggest turnoffs multiple times for our WrestleMania. If it's happening now, it's the greatest, but then because as much as we may like the New Day, right, and we like
Yeah.
the War Raiders, are you telling me they're better than Arn and Telly? They're better than Rock Roll Express. They're better than the Road Warriors. You know, there's a lot of tag teams.
Yeah.
You know, and even the Deli Boys. I mean, look at that. You have all these tag teams, and just because they're now, they're making them the best.
I mean, it crosses that line. It crosses that line there. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the matches we were expecting to see those guys with New England ties, like you said, and expecting to see a good match. And I believe it was a good match. And New Day, they're hot right now as heels, and we'll see what happens now when they get their title run established.
Now, the question I have on that, now I know you have the footage, but do you think you can find the footage of the Douglas brothers versus Blackheart and Vega in Raynham, Massachusetts?
Yeah, I have that footage. I got all the footage. I'll have to go digging for some old BAA chess tapes. But yeah, I definitely have that matchup from Raynham at Escapades there. And if I run across that here soon, we'll play a clip of that on the showcase pod here for the people to enjoy that footage there. Over 20 years, if I'm not mistaken, right? About 20 years old.
That's probably about right.
All right, so yep, I'll do digging. What's that, Daniel?
So we all picked the War Raiders.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so I guess we're on a landslide there. Two, each one's a two-time loser so far.
Yeah. Yep.
So moving on to the third matchup. Speaking of losing, was it the women's
Jade
matchup
Cargill
there?
against
Yes.
Naomi.
Yes, I felt like I lost watching that, but great entrance. Great to look at Jay Cargill, but once the bell rings again, left a lot to be desired, in my opinion.
So I'm going to shock you. I'm going to shock you with some positive.
I want to say the
stuff
weakest matches of the night, WrestleMania Night 1. Your opinions on that one there?
What I thought of it is Naomi, I gave her credit that for being, she was a better worker in that match than I gave her credit for based on what she did throughout the whole match of leading and being the general in that match.
Yeah.
What Cargill reminded me of is definitely Lex Luger. Always having the potential. Right now, what is she, 5 years in?
Yeah.
And I think she's living off the future potential. But I know when I was counting after a while, like 3 seconds, she wouldn't stay down. No matter what Naomi would do, this girl's up within like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And that was driving me absolutely banana.
I mean, I would highly disagree with the Lex Luger comment. I mean, I know Lex was rough around the edges in the beginning, but I mean, nothing compared to this one here.
I mean, Lex got pushed a lot because of it, and Lex.
Yeah, he got pushed because of his looks and stuff like that. I think he carried himself a lot better than he's been able to pull off the last few times that she's been placed on these high-profile matches, especially high-profile match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously they're behind her, they're pushing her, but and what was she out for, about 3 or 4 months? I would imagine she's been at the Performance Center. Hopefully she's just not going through that match. Hopefully going to building. And let's be honest with you. She's obviously has dedication in the gym, right?
Yeah.
She's a good-looking, woman. But she's just not there wrestling wise, and stuff like that. Sometimes it's not fair when you're pushing people in that spotlight. It just kills me again
if you're not there yet. Why expose you to the largest crowd you ever possibly be in front of?
That part I don't think is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean. Either you could tell, you could see it in the ring.
Yeah. So it's but I mean.
there was parts where she seemed like she was lost
Yeah.
Yeah.
in there, and then going back to the commentary, Michael Cole saying that it was phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, the people definitely, the fans watching are definitely not blind. So to insult the intelligence, I know there's a lot of stupid ones out there. I mean, come on now, but to insult the intelligence of some that have a half a brain, it's quite ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were on the board with that. All three of us picked Jade.
We picked Jay Cargill.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was the company
All
pick.
three of us. Yep.
First W for all three of us.
Yep.
Even though it wasn't a W watching the match.
Yeah.
But moving on to the next matchup of the night.
The United States Championship, LA Knight defending the championship against Jacob Fatu.
Now that matchup right there, in my opinion, was the best match of the WrestleMania card night one. Both those guys stepped it up.
Yeah,
I mean,
awesome.
some incredible stuff pulled off by both guys. A good solid match with a good solid ending, and it saw Jacob Fatu becoming the new U.S. champion. And I believe me and Danny had Jacob.
Yep, all of us did.
All of us did.
Oh, look
Okay,
at that.
so another W. Another W there, so we're two apiece. But yeah, you watched that match, Chris Blackheart?
I did, and I wasn't surprised. I thought it'd be shorter. And every time I see LA Knight, I think of Nicholas Knight. I just do. It just, but it was a good match. I mean, we have some New England ties to that match that people don't know, but
Why do you think of Nicholas when you hear? Is it just because of the name?
no, just because the look. Like LA Knight, he's a smaller. He looks like a smaller. What is he? 5'8"?
No, he's actually 6 feet.
Yeah, I mean he looks smaller than what he is.
Yeah, no,
And
he's not.
It just reminds me of that. It reminds me of Nicholas Knight. Nick was a smaller guy, stepped up.
Definitely will tower over Nicholas Knight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised at all to see the matchup turned out to be what it was, and like you said, it has some ties. Has some ties going back to training, which we'll get into that later on. Certain individuals that might train certain individuals on a Wednesday night might have produced that match. But yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later on here on the podcast. Moving on to the next match.
El Grande Americano versus Ray Phoenix. Defeated Ray Phoenix.
So Chad Gable,
that cannot be confirmed or denied.
This luchador persona took on Ray Phoenix that was stepping up for the injured Rey Mysterio last minute. Good match. Again, another match that both guys pulled some unbelievable stuff. The only critique on that match is the gear. They look like a tag team. I know it was last minute. Maybe Ray only had that gear on hand, but I know Gable has plenty of others. Maybe he had, maybe he didn't. But they look like a tag team. You see the photo there on the screen.
Yeah, and that was a problem with a couple of matches throughout WrestleMania. I don't understand. I mean, and we tell the guys all the time, when we're going to the guys at training, look at the locker room, find out what I remember years ago, everyone had black and red. And then I would go in my bag and I would look around and I would, I'd wear blue or I'd wear, silver, whatever it was, anything to make yourself look different. And that was a classic example where, I don't think Ray had, super fancy attire. I'm sure somebody could have put something together for him.
Well,
throw bandanas on. I don't know. It was just
last minute. It looked like that's what he had. He had for WrestleMania weekend. That's what he had put together.
What? Do you go to a show with only one pair of tights? I never did. At the beginning, but after
I never
a while,
did. But who knows nowadays?
Yeah.
a thing that I would say about the match now, and then going back and seeing the whole story, it was definitely a sales pitch because they knew they were going to announce the purchase of AAA. So, what better way than to, feed into it by Gable looking to take on the world greatest luchador, and, him taking on Rey Mysterio, which is, one of the legends of Lucha Libre, on the day that they were going to announce that they were buying AAA. So, that tied everything together there. We'll find out what the story behind this whole thing will be as things get rolling. As you know, they announced their first pay-per-view. It has all three brands, AAA, NXT, and the WWE, at the Kia Forum in LA. And I seen a poster for that event there. It features a lot of the luchadors from AAA.
Yeah, I mean,
well, Chris, actually, Blackheart, yeah, he's in the lead because he picked Grande and me and you picked Ray.
look at that. The winner pulls ahead.
Well, that's gonna be that's really not a win because he didn't beat Rey Mysterio.
Oh, come on.
So we still tied, Danny.
No, we're not.
That one doesn't count. We didn't have the advantage to pick, Ray Phoenix. We were going for Rey Mysterio.
I'm not buying that. I'm not.
Yeah,
no, that's
we're still
crap.
tied.
That's crap.
Doesn't count.
Go back to the ballot box. This sounds like a Democrat over there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to pull that card.
No, not buying that. A loss is a loss. A win's a win.
Moving on to the next match.
So the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton defeated Charlotte Flair.
And I believe I had Tiffany Stratton being victorious in that matchup.
Me and Chris picked Flair, and you got Tiffany. So,
I'm really leading.
No, you're not. All right.
I'm really leading here, 3-2. Tiffany Stratton. I knew that the torch had to be passed, and that was another solid match, hard-hitting match. Good match, and at the end they went with the young blood, and I believe that's a smart decision to take at that point.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I thought Charlotte could or should win, I think by Tiffany winning, I think it established her as a main event player.
Yeah.
Where I haven't seen a lot of her stuff before. So when I'm watching it, I was very impressed with her, which, as you know, I'm not a big fan of women wrestling majority of the time, but I liked the match because they wrestled. There was a good story behind it. Overall it was intense. And I think Charlotte made her a star. So that part I thought was good.
Yeah, I liked it too because it was a 50-50 match. Went down the middle.
Yeah. Well, this was another match that, they both looked like a tag team.
Yeah.
They're both wearing similar gear, which again defeats the purpose. But as far as the match, it was a great matchup, and in the end, Tiffany retained the women's championship. Moving to our next matchup of the night.
So the triple threat match: Seth Rollins defeated CM Punk and Roman Reigns.
So Seth Rollins victorious over Punk and Reigns, and we kind of talked about this the last time we were here in the pod. Mm-hmm. We gave different scenarios. Chris Blackheart mentioned, what happens if he just goes and turns and goes with Rollins, and we kind of put that out there, and he did, and it shocked a lot of people.
Yeah, that was a good finish, and Paul Heyman looked like he was going to go with CM Punk, then turns on Punk too, and so that was a great match. And Chris called it, actually. He called for Rollins to win, and me and you picked CM Punk.
Yeah, so Chris Blackheart, thoughts on that match?
Yeah, I mean, I think the story behind it is going to be really good. I mean, I didn't see a lot of clips on Monday night, but I know stuff happened, to say the least. Yeah. So I think
get into Monday night at the end here.
Means I think storyline and feuds, I think keeps everything alive and fresh.
Yeah.
And Heyman, the mastermind. Let's put it out there.
So I think definitely surprised a lot of people. But I think there's a big story behind all this. And I did talk to some people, and I said, oh yeah, I see a new version of kind of like a Shield group. And I said that on Sunday. And then on Monday, we saw another individual join their group there. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But that was the conclusion of WrestleMania 41 Night 1, the main event. Again, Rollins aligning with Paul Heyman to beat Punk and Reigns in the main event for Night 1. You got to watch Night 2 of WrestleMania, you said, Chris Blackheart, over there yawning?
I did. I watched the beginning part. I was watching on my celly phone in the car coming back from the Cape.
Very bad. Chris Blackheart did not join us at the Moonshine.
I didn't, but hey, I gave
a couple of the guys went down there, and we had a good time. And thanks to the staff there that treated us pretty good, and good place to visit, good food, good environment.
Yeah, Jeff and the staff goes down there. Is a wrestling friendly environment, to say the least. So I'm glad. Talking to Jeff, they had a really good Sunday, because obviously Sundays usually are slow in general, never mind being an Easter, but they said their numbers were up. So that means wrestling draws.
Yeah, definitely a good time, definitely a good environment, good food. We got to see Night 2 of WrestleMania there, the Moonshine Alley in Providence. And you got the matches there lined up.
WWE Women's Championship, Io Sky defeated Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair in the triple threat match.
Well, again, on a match that they, solidify, and I think we talked about it a little bit last week, how Io needed to be victorious in order for her title run not to be called a fluke. And they went with that, and Io Sky defeated both Rhea Ripley and EST to retain the title. That was a great match. Yeah. I got to watch that whole entire match. That was a real good match from start to finish. And I think that's a good move, because now who knows what's going to happen now.
Well, this match puts Chris in the lead. You picked Sky, and me and you picked Rhea.
Oh, congratulations.
Yep. So
no, but I think it was the same way. I mean, I think she was the sleeper in the match. I think everyone counted her out. So I think it definitely solidified her as a stronger champion, a stronger position, even though she went in as a champion.
Yeah. So, definitely one of the good ones on Night 2 there. Started off with a good encounter. Moving on to the second match of the night. Feature who, Daniel?
Drew McIntyre defeated Damian Priest in a Sin City Street Fight.
Drew McIntyre taking on Damian Priest in kind of like a rematch from last year's WrestleMania when he cashed in the Money in the Bank and defeated Drew McIntyre for the title thanks to the help of CM Punk. That matchup went back and forth. There was a moment there, and we speak about moments all the time at the training center, and that's the moment that I recall was him grabbing a picture with his brother's cell phone and posting it on Twitter and getting like millions of views within a couple minutes. That's what I remember about the entire match, to be honest. That moment was the one that was talked about and the most highlighted of the entire match.
Well, this definitely puts Chris in the lead again, because he picked Drew and me and you picked Damian.
No, I mean, that was, two guys just being the up. What I thought after the match, I think they should just tag up. Because there's two guys, as long as they respect there, they beat the crap out of each other. Where do you go from there? You either don't wrestle again.
Oh, I think
or
they go their separate ways now.
Yeah, well, and that's the third option too. But I don't think they should have another match. It was hard hitting, and it could have went either way. So the fact that Priest came in second, that's more than fine. But I wouldn't want a rematch.
Well, we'll find out if that will take place or not. The upcoming months here. What was our next match, Danny?
It was a pretty good match, actually. Dominic Mysterio, congratulations to him, his first singles title, defeating Braun Breaker, Penta, and Finn Balor for the Fatal 4-Way match for the Intercontinental Championship.
Well, in another shocking event, because I know there were some people that were rooting for him to become the champion because of the Eddie Guerrero being the Intercontinental Championship champion at one point and all that. There was certainly the doubt because you had Braun Breaker and you had Penta that were kind of like the match favorites. So it was definitely like a shocker to see Dominic pull it off. It was a great matchup though. Those matches are tough, having multiple individuals in those matches. He pulled up the win, and then again Carlito coming out, helping out, and creating another moment with Breaker. I mean, right on the tailcoat end of the big spear that he took on Raw, he came back out, and the minute I seen him clear that table, I said, "Yep, Carlito's going through that table."
Yeah, a good win for Dominic, though. It's pretty cool. And so we all lost that one because all three of us picked Penta.
Yeah.
Yep. Moving on to the next matchup.
Randy Orton, the Viper, defeated Joe Hendry. He's TNA champion, I think he is.
Chris Blackheart, we were all wrong. I thought it was going to be Rusev coming and back WrestleMania, but I was surprised. Joe Hendry came out and people loved it. He's definitely a guy that's over. TNA World Champion. And I think he filled the spot pretty well. It was something new. It was fresh.
Well, you and Chris, you guys picked Aleister Black, and I picked Rusev, which all three of us were wrong. So.
Yeah. Well,
so on that one, I can agree. We take the match out.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard to. You got to pick a person, then you got to pick a winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the good part about that, it just shows that anything can happen.
Yeah.
And I think it shows the reach of the WWE that there's no one in the sports entertainment, which I'm not a big fan of it, but it is what it is now. That's the industry that promotes pro wrestling, that there's no one close to them when it comes down to the global reach. Between what they do in the States, between the stuff that they're building internationally and the companies that are working with them, you're either working with them or you're working against them. Yeah. It doesn't mean that your product is inferior, but it just shows you that WWE can get anybody anywhere. And the fact that some people were mad that they made the TNA champion look weak. I just think it just shows different levels. Yeah. I mean, Randy is huge. And I'll be honest with you, I thought Randy Orton, when he started, looked better than Joe Hendry standing there in the ring. In between his look, his tan.
Well, to those people that complain about Joe Hendry coming in second, I believe that match right there solidified him as a star. Being in there with a guy as, with the status of Randy Orton at this point. And him giving him the okay, him giving him that rub in the biggest stage that you could possibly, wrestle in. I think that solidifies Joe Hendry as a top star, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, people forget too, when you give a wrestler an opportunity, you give him a spot, and it's all trust. Right there, obviously, on the biggest stage of the year, they gave it to somebody who's not even underneath, their contract.
Yeah.
But they believe in potential of opportunity. So hopefully, if I'm not mistaken, TNA is TNA this weekend in LA coming up? Well, I know it's coming up soon. But
sure, it should be coming up though.
Yeah, I mean TNA's on fire. I just think. again, if WWE wants to help you, they will. And I think that was a small token that people
Well,
will
yeah,
say.
sometimes, you're in a business to help yourself as well. So, who knows the potential they see when Hendry, his contract is up with TNA, them already exposing them to
Yeah.
the WWE product and their audience, kind of like what they did with Jordan Grace.
Yeah.
I don't see that far in between. I see him crossing over sooner than later. So,
Yeah.
that's one of those deals that I help you to help myself later. But moving on to the next matchup that saw, I believe, Logan
Logan
Paul.
Paul, yep, defeated AJ Styles, and
This-
me and you picked Logan, and Chris picked AJ, so
Yeah.
we're on the board here.
Danny just wants to bust the load without even talking about it.
Danny's just happy
Jeez.
that he finally won something.
What's that?
Danny's just happy that he won.
So Logan Paul defeating AJ Styles. Again, another matchup that was a good matchup on that Sunday night card. What did Danny said? I got lost. Who had who?
Where is it? I had Logan, and you had Logan. Chris had AJ.
So, am I leading now?
Nope. He's still ahead by 1 or 2 if you want to count that. Ray
what
and
count?
match.
Well, what count?
We're
that
not.
match?
We're not counting Ray.
Oh, what count, Ray?
We're not counting Ray.
Oh
Ray
my
was
God,
injured.
you're killing me, kid.
I'm leading by 1.
No, we'll have Danny. We'll have Danny do Steiner
One,
math at
two,
the
three,
end.
4. Actually, Chris is ahead by 1.
Even without
By
that
one?
one, I'm
Yeah.
by 1.
All right. We move on to the next match.
Next match was the Women's Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyrie and Becky Lynch defeated Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to win the Women's Tag Team Champions.
What did we? What
And
did we
who did I
buy?
pick in that match?
I don't remember on that one.
Yeah, it wasn't up at the time because when we picked it, the match wasn't scheduled
All
yet.
right, so that's a buy.
Yeah.
No one gets that.
Yeah,
one.
so that matchup, there, I watched it. Wasn't a big fan of it, and then it was short-lived.
Yeah.
I guess, to bring Becky back and have Becky turn on her fellow country girl there. So that sets up a big feud with Becky and Lyra for future reference coming up. But yeah, they won the titles, and then the next night on Raw, Raquel and Liv Morgan retained the tag team titles once again.
So were they
And-
4-time champions, though?
Yes. So that led on to the final match of WrestleMania 41 Night 2.
The main
main
event
event.
for the WWE Championship, John
All right,
Cena
let's take-
defeated Cody Rhodes.
Let's take it slow, Danny. Let's give some anticipation there. A lot of people waiting for this match here. John Cena on his last WrestleMania, taking on Cody Rhodes. Big story, big feud there with those two guys. And, the match, in my opinion, left some stuff to be served in the table. Chris Blackheart?
I feel the same. I think I like a lot of things I liked throughout WrestleMania was the stories, and I think I like the story better than the match.
So, to me, the only thing that I in my opinion, I believe The Rock needed to be involved in this.
Yep.
I don't know what the hell he was doing or where he was at. But to have a rapper, I understand they're probably trying to set up a tag team matchup between Travis Scott and Cena against Cody and someone else. There's talks of Bad Bunny. Who knows? But for them to set up that initial angle with The Rock, of asking Cody to sell his soul, and Cena taking the offer, and Scott being the odd part, because at that point we didn't even know why the hell Travis Scott was out there with The Rock.
Yeah.
In that scenario, I thought it took away from the heel turn with Cena. Now we go back to WrestleMania when people are expecting The Rock, that hasn't been talked about in the last couple of weeks, to come out and have some involvement. and that doesn't happen. I think that was very weak. Then you send a guy that's a rapper, non-wrestler, and you put him on the definitive spot of that match. I just think that's lacking of creative.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
That's a big spot for someone that doesn't have any experience to be out there. And what happens if it doesn't plan out that way?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%.
Some high hopes to put on somebody that's not a wrestler. So, whoever has that trust, I mean, good for them, I guess. It's good that it went the way they wanted it to go, because it could have gone the complete opposite. Just my thought. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I think the outcome. Did we all have Cena?
Yeah.
So I think we all knew or felt that there would be a title switch, but how it happened, wasn't a big fan of. Match quality. It almost felt like not even like a Raw match.
To me, it almost felt like, out of place. Like, to me, it almost felt like Drew McIntyre and Priest should have been just a regular wrestling match.
Yeah.
And that match with Cody and Cena should have been the street fight. Because they had heat. They had real heat. He bloodied them. He betrayed them. He had people attacking him. To me, that felt like that spot should have been that match if they knew that it was going to lack certain scenarios as far as having a regular wrestling match. I just don't know who's booking all this shit, Chris Blackheart.
Yeah, that's a good segue going to the Hall of Fame. Did you see? You guys see the Hall of Fame?
We saw the Hall of Fame. Yep. Saw some of the Hall of Fame. Before we move on, I skipped through a part here. And that's when I really knew that The Rock wasn't coming out and none of this shit was gonna happen. When I saw Austin come out there and cut the promo about the attendance. When I seen Austin come out there, I'm like, yeah, he's doing the attendance because they have Michaels do it the night before.
Yeah.
And he crashed into the barrier wall. Did you see that? That made headlines all over that same night.
It just won't stop.
What was that?
It just doesn't stop. Austin almost hit a fan. Those are steel barriers. If I'm not mistaken, aren't those like posts that goes into the concrete?
No, those barriers are made with plywood, with like reinforced wood, and then it's covered with padding.
I got the footage here if you want me to show it.
So yeah, go back and show that footage. Preferably the footage that shows the girl doing a real bad acting job and trying to fall after the impact.
United States at WrestleMania. You never had him chasing around on that
thing. One of the ones up top there, the shorts.
Oh,
that's the quick one. Click on one of the other ones.
Oh, fans. There you go.
693 over the weekend. 63,200.
What's that?
On the top, the shorts.
Oh, you want the shorts one?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to see the girl fall?
Yeah, I want to see the girl fall. That's the whole
Danny wants to watch
the
Austin
bullshit fall from this girl. And then I seen her the rest of the night. She was there standing up cheering for Cody.
I'm sure the cameras were following her.
Yeah.
Circled the ring, he lost control,
yeah, if you go to the short videos, it's going to show it in slow motion.
You never had him chasing around on that thing.
Get off that clip and just go
There she is right there falling.
Fans sitting ringside were shocked, including this woman who was knocked off her feet.
Yeah, she falls.
She appeared to escape without injury, but didn't.
Like 2-3 seconds after the impact happened.
Yeah.
She's nowhere near that guardrail.
Oh.
Look.
No, it's funny. In a building full of workers, she's trying to outsell the workers.
And the old man that was with her, that was right in front of where the impact happened, didn't even flinch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the intent of this looks like a teenage girl. Look at her there. collapsed afterwards. It had an aftershock effect. So, yep, that was one of the moments of the night that was funny, and
I wonder what Stone.
I laughed my ass off when I saw this. I'm like, what a bad sell job.
I wonder what he said to her, Stone Cold.
Sorry, kid.
He probably said, "Get the hell up, kid. I barely hit you."
Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody would have fell, would have been that guy in the red shirt.
Yeah, the guy directly in front of him. You know,
I mean, the only thing I can slightly buy that she was startled from the event. Like, she wasn't
if anything,
looking.
I'm pretty sure anybody in that arena wanted to have that moment with Steve Austin crashing into him.
You know, like, it looks like she was she looking somewhere else? She didn't see Austin, and then it happened?
She was looking right at him. And
okay, that's all right. Okay, so
go back into her seat gingerly.
Yeah, so she could have been surprised, startled. That part I get, but the fact that they're trying to make it out like Austin ran into a barrier and that, you know, she was hit from it, I mean, that part is total crap.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, we got different angles of this video all over the place. So, you know, it shows the delay reaction of her just gingerly falling into her chair.
I think she was pulling a LeBron James.
Yeah, a battle LeBron James, because you wouldn't even catch a call with that fucking sell job.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's worse than basketball players trying to sell stuff on the court.
There she is, folks. The biggest seller in the game. There we go. Down she goes again. Yeah. So, that was pretty funny. That was a hell of a laugh when I saw that. And then watching the next day and just thinking that she's probably thinking she's gonna sue for millions of dollars because of this. Quite funny. I mean, definitely startled, but going to the Hall of Fame, she kind of went fast forward 2 nights because Blackheart, because there was no natural disasters at WrestleMania on Sunday for her to collapse.
That was funny. 3
seconds after. So, going back to the Hall of Fame, you were talking about the Hall of Fame. You watched the Hall of Fame?
I did. I usually like the Hall of Fame, but I didn't like the format of it. I thought the induction of Triple H overshadowed everybody. I didn't like the fact that, like, Ivan Koloff is put, like, what they put him in, a legacy one?
Yep,
Ivan,
legacy.
Yeah, I didn't like that. You know, he barely had a video. I think they put him on after the Hall of Fame. You know, so I thought that was a disservice. And even with Kamala, I mean, his family, you know, was barely, you know, there.
Yeah, Kamala definitely deserves a spot in the actual Hall of Fame. He was a guy that was one of the biggest heels around the Hogan time, and he wrestled everybody.
Yeah, so I didn't like that. Michelle McCool, nothing against her. I liked her speech. Really good speech. Well spoken. I think she can be a great ambassador for the WWE because she was.
I don't think she did enough to be in a Hall of Fame spot.
Right, and that's what it is. Her in-ring ability did not reflect the award. But kind of like when Sharmell spoke, was a couple years ago on Booker T. Same thing, very well spoken. You know, hopefully Sharmell got something from it. I hope Michelle gets something from it too because very well spoken. And I think she could be a great ambassador of public relations for the WWE. But that spot, I don't think she deserved it.
Yeah. You know, feeling is mutual. You know, a thing that I noticed about the Hall of Fame is it was very edited.
Yes.
As far as the crowd reactions, crowd interaction that you get from the Hall of Fame every year, that was really, really edited. If you notice watching it, you could barely hear chants. You could barely hear any of the typical stuff that you would going into the Hall of Fame ceremony. The stories very limited. There was no stories really being told.
I love stories. Triple H did have some good stories.
Yeah, Triple H. I mean, they saved everything for the boss. You know, did he put himself over Chris Blackheart? I mean, like.
No, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was heartfelt.
Did the Booker put himself over, or?
No, I don't think he put himself over. I mean, put this way, if he wasn't who he was, I would think he would deserve to go in, but maybe not now.
Oh, no, that definitely he's well deserving. I'm just saying, as far as the spot and the timing and having all the time in the world and not being rushed and all that.
Oh yeah. If this was a card, he put himself on top. It's no question about
definitely it wasn't. If Vince was there, he would have been cut in time.
Yeah.
No matter who it was. But yeah, definitely I enjoyed him going back and talking about Vince and even getting into family and everything. I mean, I wish I would have heard some stories from Lex Luger.
Yeah, the Luger. Like, I was questioning that one. Like, I thought Diamond, great, well-spoken. But I thought Sting, and I have no idea if they have a relationship now, Sting and Luger, but I thought that would be the person that should have inducted him.
He's the one that used to carry him to shows when he would come to big time. He'd wheel him in and carry him off the wheelchair and stuff. They still got a relationship.
Yeah, so, I mean, take company bullshit away. If there's problems between, obviously, WWE and AEW, something should have been fixed, because to me, that's when politics goes aside.
Yeah. Well, how they're competing right now, so, that's easier said than done in that scenario. But yeah, I mean, other than Triple H, it left a lot to be desired, man.
Yeah.
That's one of the nights that I enjoyed, and going back to a lot of different ones. I enjoy going back and listening to the stories and hearing the crowd interaction back and forth with the guys. And it felt like they took that away this year, which sucks. Going forward, they should go back to the usual, because they're taking away from that enjoyment of the fans. If they truly doing it for the fans and the boys, they should let that interaction be natural and let it happen.
Yes.
So, micromanagement and editing every bit and piece of the entirety of the thing is not where the key lies. As far as for my taste, I don't know.
You want to go into some plugs?
Chris Blackheart, get into the plugs.
By the way, Chris Blackheart won the picks for the WrestleMania.
Fantastic! Give me all the money.
I'm demanding a recount. How did he? Oh, he won by one.
Yeah. Removing that other match you talked about. Well, yes, he had 6. You had 5. I had 4.
Son of a bitch! I'm calling BS on this.
Call Connecticut. Call the 203 number.
I'm calling BS.
Yeah. Call the 203 number.
Fucking around with the booking.
Yeah. Call HR. Say, hey, I have a problem with one of your employees.
Got having a problem with picks here, you sons of bitches. You're stealing my picks. Moving on to the plugs. We got some shows coming up, starting up next week. Chris Blackheart.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Shows.
So we have 3 shows coming up. We have, Danny, if you bring that up right now, we have Saturday night, May 3rd. We are back in the Showcase for Wrestling Arena. That is in Woonsocket with a bell time of 7:07. Following Friday, which is the 9th, we are in Taunton at the Taunton VFW. Then wrapping up, we are on the 17th. That is a Saturday at the Franklin Elks. That is for a special event for the Special Olympics. Those 3 events that we're going. More events coming up down the line. But we also have some special, we're gonna have to have a guest on the show coming up soon. Because one of our friends, Joe Davis, he has a show, I believe, tonight.
Yes.
It's Cranston. Is that correct?
Yeah,
tonight was in Cranston, and where's tomorrow?
Tomorrow it is in, these poses there.
It's in Attleboro.
Yes. Oh, yeah, 44 Peck Street in Attleboro, Massachusetts.
And where can they find more information?
The Sweet House Keeping It Real Comedy Tour.
That's perfect. Well, we've got to tell people that we went to Joel's first event in Woonsocket. And good time, good laughs. Joe was, he's a funny fuck. Let's be honest with you. You know, Joe was good, and the fact that I like, you know, kind of like with wrestling, you know, you've seen him grow in the business, stepped out to be, you know, an adventure to say the least. So I give him credit. So that was number one. The events that he's doing, you know, fantastic coming down here. So let's just see it grow, you know. And we'll talk about having
$55 includes a dinner too. So if you
That's
dinner
pretty
and a
good.
show, it's a good date.
Yeah,
date,
so you can pick Roger Williams up in the Attleboro area. A lot of times on Fridays he goes to Sturgis Memorial, pick him up, bring him up for dinner.
Yep, pick him up, take him out for a date. Maybe you guys could go buy Mickey's. I don't know, but
Hey, we don't get free advertising like that if we don't know them. So if you want to get some guest passes for Dan Pedante and Don Vega,
talking about Mickey Mouse. You don't know what Mickey I'm talking about.
yeah. If you want to get some guest passes, you can you can put it in our email at promoter@showcaseprowrestling.com, SP Wrestling on Messenger, and we'll have Dan Pedante do a review of his Central Falls Cumberland line adventure.
We can arrange for free admission for Chris Blackheart. You don't need a pass, Chris Blackheart. You just need permission from the big boss.
Permission, yeah. Well, those are stories. All right, what else we got? Oh, actually, hey, let me give a plug to a friend of ours over at 4A Home Improvement. They're running a special coming up for their 10th year, coming up next year. So anyone who's a former client or customer, if you send them a referral, they're going to give you a $50 Visa gift card. So just visit them online at 4A Home Improvement on all social media. Brandon, the crew, they do some great stuff over there. I just saw their social media post on that. So it's a nice little plug right there. What else we got plugging?
Well, Chris Blackheart, you know, you like saving money, so, you know, you might want to take advantage of that $50 Visa card and get some work done. So if you need work done in your home, your business, and all that good stuff, make sure you go and take advantage of that.
Yep, and there's a lot of people that we know that has taken and worked with 4A. Great quality work, good family business, and you know, and that's the key part. You know, ironically, like contractors, plumbers, and electricians, you got to build a relationship with them because it's typically just not a one-shot deal. You know, if something goes wrong in your house, something you want rebuilt, you want that relationship. So reach out to Brandon. He's definitely a guy that can do that for you. Or if it's something you need one and done, he'll do that too. But it's always good to have a contractor, you know, that you know and trust. And Brandon and the crew is definitely one of those.
I did a poll in the chat room, asked people what their take was on WrestleMania. Was it awesome? Did it suck? Not too good or okay? So 25% people said awesome, and 75% people said it was okay.
Yeah, I would be. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be around that 75% of the people that said it was okay. I've seen better.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that the year before in Philly was better. You know, even years prior. Like I said, especially, you know, if you counted the whole night based on the main event with Cena and Cody and leaving a lot to be desired as far as the turn of events that could have happened at the end of that match, then that could have saved that show from an okay show to an awesome show. Yeah. But I guess, you know, things worked out a different way, and we'll just have to wait and see what ways these things are going to get worked out.
Well, I think one thing, and we can all agree with this, WrestleMania is the focal point of the year, is the reset going into the new year, kind of like what we have with Marchversary. But if you were inspired, man, get your ass this Monday to the Showcase Wrestling Training Center. Send a message, but just show up. 6:30, the door opens. Coming in, start your journey. Start it now. If you're inspired by WrestleMania, stop making excuses. Just go and do it. Danny has a plug up there right now. We call it the Accelerator Program because it's 3 nights, 6:30 and 9:30. Each night we have different coaches, including ourselves. Also on Wednesday, we have Coach Ken, which, you know, Ken was there on Wednesday night, and we showed pictures on our social media, on Showcase, and also on the Showcase Wrestling Training Center social media. I mean, you got to do it, and the fact that, I mean, I don't know about you, but like and you see it too when you go to the gym. I mean, look at the young kid we saw at the gym a couple of weeks ago. Really inspired. I gave him my number.
Yeah.
You just got to do it, and what we broke down, on the class on Monday is, who wants to take it to that next level, and guess what? Anyone can take it to that next level if you put the work in. And you have no idea what level you're going to land at, but you got to put the work in.
Yeah, you definitely got to be prepared for the opportunity, and the opportunity is not going to come if you don't work for it. So, definitely, if your goal is to be a pro wrestler, there hasn't been a better time to be in the wrestling business as the time that we're in right now, with so many opportunities, so many big opportunities, big companies all over the place. Definitely the right time to start and work towards that goal, work towards that journey. Like you said, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, 126 Main Street in Woonsocket, Showcase Pro Wrestling Training Center and Arena. Come check us out. Chris Blackheart, I don't know the time. Are we near the go home here, or are we still?
Yeah, it's just past 10 o'clock.
Okay, so we talked a lot today. Time kind of went fast today, huh?
There was a lot of content. I think one thing we didn't bring up, Dark Side the Ring. The episodes have been coming. I've been watching almost all of them. I think
that'll be for next week.
I think we should bring that up.
We covered WrestleMania. We briefly talked on Wednesday about a couple of episodes like Hell in a Cell and Ludwig Borga, and you mentioned the Tony Atlas episode. So I'm gonna go and watch the Tony Atlas. One of my arch rivals. I'll go watch that episode, and maybe we'll touch up on some of all those episodes coming up next week here in the pod.
Do you want to? Who wants to plug on the recent loss that we just had?
So I just Wednesday we were just talking about it. Steve Mungo Michael passed away. I believe he was 67 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not positive of the age. I know he's been battling ALS for multiple years. I know on social media over the years, Flair has gone there numerous times, showed pictures, and I mean, talk about a horrible disease to pass from.
Yes.
So it, obviously condolences out to his family. Mongo, I remember seeing him the first time in WCW, join the, Horsemen. Talk about,
I think he was one of those guys that, initiated that whole crossover. I mean, I thought he was great on the mic, and he fit the role. Definitely a great in the football. The Bears, and he was a legend there in the Gridiron, and then his work in WCW. So definitely a guy that's going to be missed by a lot of individuals in the pro wrestling business.
Yeah. And just last year, he got inducted to the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yes. So again, condolences to all his friends, all his family members. Rest in peace, Steve Mungo McMichael. With that being said, I think we have covered everything here for this week, Chris Blackheart. Next week we'll get into the Dark Side of the Ring and other news in the world of professional wrestling, including our events that are coming up in May. But for tonight, that's all we have. For Danny Badandi, for the boss Chris Blackheart, for the Ghost down at the studios with the music boxes, and for Don Vega. We'll see you right back here next week in the Showcase Pod.